Alright, this is just the video test I'm doing. I just uh, changed up some mic settings because I'm using a webcam mic and it's pretty bad. Uh, so, right here. Um, I wanted to do some sort of fly-by-wire system using canards. So, I thought, use an angle sensor, and I was looking at the settings, just kind of, digging around, just trying to find something that seemed like it would function. I'm just, I realize I might not have to use a bunch of altitude sensors. This normalized thing, I had the idea that I might just, output um, uh, a value that corresponds to the angle detected, and that's exactly what this does, I believe. So, talk about all this other logic that I just have zero dragged on top of the plane because it won't fit inside the build. So yeah, I want to be able to see it. So basically, as my plane goes upwards, you kind of see this canard up here starts to react motion. It's slightly offset because I want it to be more reactive upwards than going down, or it reacts faster going down, nosing down or pitching, and it's less reactive pitching up. But also that allows me to when you shrink the I guess degrees that are in the angle search cone, right? It makes it, well, basically, you have, it's like turning it from centimeters to inches. Like there's more kicks for it to detect something. So if I set it to 360 degrees, I would have to move. I'd have to go from 0 degrees to 360 degrees to get max rotation. If it's at I think this is around 157 degrees, I only have to go from, you know, 0 to 157 degrees to actually get the full rotation of the canard, or just control surface in general. So the lower your degrees, the less, actual movement there has to be to get a higher output. So that's how that works. And where I have it going, if I can just spawn back in the carrier, is I don't necessarily, I think it's just, it kind of just made a cheat instead of using the arithmetic gate. So I have these going directly into the steering hinges. I have the altitude sensor, angle sensor, going into the steering hinges so that, it's part of it. Then it also goes into number display. So I can see the number display right here, 0.22, right? And it depends on what degree angle your control surface is, because Trailmakers is great. And yeah, but when you put a number display, you connect this to the number display and the number display to the steering hinges. Actually, I think, if I remember correctly, it basically doubles the output. So without the Gizmo, kind of it doesn't work as well, or I'm just losing it. I see it doesn't. Am I just losing it? Yeah, no, it is. I believe it is moving less. Which, I mean, if you don't want it to be super extreme, then go ahead. Don't use the gate or use the number display. But I found that it works for me, and it also helps with. Well, I might actually be coming across a discovery that I've been screwing myself over this whole damn time and using a part that actually makes everything worse. So I like using them so I can actually see my output, right? No, yeah, it's not doing what I intended for it to do. So yeah, it does. So adding the number display in with the string hinges as well as the altitude sensor essentially doubles the output. So you get a lot lot more reaction. So if you don't want it to react much, if you want it just to be, not very tight, like enough to stabilize it, but not like enough to, go crazy, go ahead. But it's way easier than using arithmetic gate and trying to find, you know, exact constant for, if like don't want to fiddle through the settings. You, I mean, if you know the settings, you can just throw it in there, whatever. But I would just use this. Also, the divide on the arithmetic gate. Maybe I'm just dumb, but division on the arithmetic gate is not opposite of multiplication. So I don't know if I'm just being stupid or what. But here's my other logic. So this uses the canards. This also, this also uses the canards. So basically, what it is, it's an angle sensor, an altitude sensor. So it detects, and it goes into an AND gate. So if you're within 180 degrees horizontal, right? That's one of the ANDs. The other one is if you're at 15 degrees, if you're below 15 degrees altitude. If you go under that and you're at least 180 degrees, the canard will just boost you up, prevent you from falling in. The reason why it's on an AND gate is because if you do that, it were to pull you up when you were, upside down per se, it would, if it pitches you up, it'll just nose you down into the water. And so it's not perfect. It works. So my solution to that is it has an auto stabilization at, anything lower than 30 meters. I think it's in meters, feet. I don't know. So, I'm above 30 meters with 30 altitude points, whatever the fuck. So I'm above 30, about 80, 90-ish right here. See, I can really spin. And if I dip down, dive, just to stabilize me. And then it pitches me up to prevent me from, so I'm at 30, right? It stabilizes me. Then once I dive down past 15, the nose up, stay out of the water. It's not flawless, because, I'll always hit the water occasionally, and I tapped a little bit. But also, have I set the 200 or 270, I think, degrees, so that it's more sensitive, or so it's more sensitive, just like how right here it's at 157, because there's less distance that needs to be traveled to activate, full articulation. Because, so even still, you can't necessarily be saved if you're at 360 or in that, in that range. But I've noticed that it's helped with just the snappiness of rolling back to center once you get past that 30. That altitude. See, boom, it's just so much quicker. It's not perfect. I'm still working out a bunch of just weird things. But yeah, that's about it. I might have a little bit more stuff to I don't know, I'll probably just post it in a shorter video, anything else. But if you've seen this, you should be able to understand pretty much what's going on. I forgot entirely to explain how this works. After seeing this, you should be good enough to understand how this stuff works. So then when I post like a more finalized video, you should be able to understand a little bit better. So what I have going on here, I mean, if you already understand completely, then, I mean, good job, I guess. Don't watch this video. But, so basically I have it set to 270 degrees, output of -1. I was testing this by putting a block on the wing, underneath the wing, so angles, so boom, I'm at 0.06, right? But I'm underneath, or I guess, hold on. I'm underneath the threshold Therefore, something ain't right. Okay, yeah, no. Okay, so I'm underneath the threshold, right? Therefore, there's nothing. So, main idea is, so I can actually explain this, is when you're above the threshold, this altitude sensor, because of this NOR gate, and, you know, goes with this aggregate block, that basically creates the, I guess, inverse to by -1. I'm multiplying. So if it's at 0.06, you multiply 0.06 by -1 and a 0.06, probably. And then it's just a number display. But it's not going to create the inverse and then therefore turn this to 0 if you're below the threshold. Therefore, this will continue to not be 0, change depending on your angle. So, you know, so if I'm below the threshold, that top, gate is going to stay at 0 because it's not, doing the thingamabob, doing the logic that creates the inverse. Now, see, I'm above 30. It's creating the inverse of whatever angle plane's at, or whatever angle. It's creating the inverse of the output of the altitude sensor. Therefore, the output to the ailerons are going to be 0 because, if altitude sensor is telling the ailerons, hey, move 0.07, but then there's another gate telling the altitude sensor, or it's going through the other number, whatever, it's telling it, hey, do exactly the opposite. If you take 2 steps forward and 2 steps back, it's gonna be at 0. That's the whole thing. This is a long ass. I don't know how to articulate sentences. I'm very bad at talking, if you can't tell. That's why I don't talk in my videos, but I can't explain how to actually do this without just 12 minutes. You're kidding me. That is ridiculous. Well, hope you enjoyed this video. I'll ramble on another thing again later. I'll be posting an edited video over the next couple of days of just me working on a life project in my spare time. But it might not look super good. Yeah, that should come up in the near future. See you later, alligator. If you stayed to this end of the video, I'll let you know that I'm going to be posting more large-scale jet engine videos if you're interested in that kind of shit. Well, stick around, try to watch those. I think that's really cool. And, yeah, but I destroyed my air source. No longer functions, so I'm just gonna turn it to a pulse jet and call it a day. So hopefully. See you later. Toodles.